Hey guys, Revenov here again with another video. You'll notice that this one isn't actually on a more personal level. I realized that the last two videos were birthday presents, so they were a little more personal to me. This time I decided to do a lighting study using one of my OCs. That would be Lucian, my boy right here, the guy that I am sketching for you today. But with the reference from John Wick, I took a real liking to the lighting that was there, you know, those very strong blues and reds from it, and I thought that it painted a really nice picture on skin, so I decided why not use it. So I guess I went straight ahead, did the exact same pose with the exact same head and the exact same colors and suit. Maybe this isn't exactly using it as a reference, but sticking my OC's head directly onto John Wick's body. Oh well. It's really more for me to gain an understanding about what colors should be used or how dark something should be. You know, the usual things that you learn when you're looking at references and trying to understand the shadows or tints or all of that wonderful, wonderful art jazz. The appeal, I guess, to me for this one is just one, the fact that it's an action scene. I do like those a lot. 2, bold colors. And 3, suits. I'm a sucker for suits. So everything just seemed to fit the description quite well. I've also been inspired by retrowave. I noticed that a lot of the color schemes actually use, you know, very bright, strong colors. Like you see how the red bounces off of the skin in this one, and how very strongly blue everything is. So the contrast is just striking to me. It stands out quite a lot. I'll probably be doing more studies like this for the next couple of videos because I really want to get a good grasp, because there's something that I did notice when I started delving into actually trying color out. I was always afraid about muddling things up, and that kind of prohibited me from really learning something. Also because when I decided to draw or paint something, I wasn't working with complete references, so that made things difficult. And you know the golden rule, guys, for art? References, references, references. That last one that I did use a reference for the rocks and everything, and that's why it came out looking pretty good actually. But you can kind of see when I inserted the girl there into the cave area, it was absolutely terrible. Didn't know a lot about where the lighting was supposed to go and how the shading would have looked or should have looked. Although I had some brief idea, the lighting on the face and everything was still a little bit difficult for me. So yeah, definitely going to be studying lighting a bit from here, or post studies. I see a lot of other artists probably around the same level as I do actually delve into things like anatomy, post studies, color theory, and just generally the essentials, and I think that that's actually really good for them. I should probably be doing the same thing as well, but I've noticed something about myself as well when it comes to studying art in particular. I noticed that sometimes instead of me actually learning what I'm supposed to be learning, I get carried away in trying to mimic the detail a little too accordingly, and so I end up losing the essence of what it is that I'm actually trying to learn. So I decided to tackle this learning experience this particular way. Beforehand, I would sit there with a sketch and continue to erase and sketch and erase and sketch and erase and sketch until I got these nice defined lines that I wanted, only realizing I'm not absorbing how this pose is actually supposed to look on a big scale, so I could replicate it again the next time I decide to draw something of a similar case. Or that I wasn't paying attention as to where the line should be a little bit thicker and where it should be a little bit thinner, or what muscle goes where. And I ended up taking the longer route towards learning the body poses when I could have just been comfortable making my mistakes. So I'm doing that loosely now. So I noticed that what works for me is to finish something even very roughly within the first sitting. The idea is just leave what you have in mind a very rough sketch, really. nothing else. And then continue to just add color, slowly add in shadows, little by little, and you can see things finally come together. There is one advice that I kept in my mind throughout this entire ordeal, and it's something that I remember hearing a fellow artist say. If you watch other art videos, you can probably hear a few other artists actually say the same thing. And so I'll pass on the same advice. Your art will look ugly all the way up until the end. So it doesn't matter how it looks now, just keep working on it. Eventually you'll see things start to define itself, and it will eventually come out in your work. The old me would have never actually tried to do this at all, so I'm glad to have given it a go. And I'll tell you guys something funny. I was working on a piece before this one in particular, and I realized that I was again having struggles with lighting and shadow. Even though I, looked up tips and stuff from earlier. The difference here being, the reference photo that I had kinda sucked, and the pose that I ended up taking was from a mannequin. Don't get me wrong, they can help you in certain areas, but I find that after taking photos of myself, it just feels more organic, and it doesn't feel stiff. And I had to set that one aside for another time, and I really just wanted to paint something and not have to worry about how it looks or what other people will say about it, not worry about whether or not I'm getting the lighting right. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I'll ever go back there again and finish the piece. I might just continue to move on. I might go back to it, I might redo the entire thing in my own way, probably when I have more confidence about what I'm supposed to be doing. So for now, I'm going to continue these studies because I'm getting something out of it, and it's definitely a lot more fulfilling. And while that other piece that I left behind took almost 2 weeks to do, it's also even almost supposed to be finished. It's not the kind of style that I'm wanting to develop, which is why I'm doing this. And yes, everything's been mapped out for me because I'm basing everything off of a reference photo. It only took me a couple of hours. So yeah, I'm proud of this one in particular, and I'm gonna keep doing it because that's how I learn. And I think that while it's important to get a grasp on the basics, if you find a method that works for you, especially in terms of learning, I'd say take it. Because I would have never been able to plant those wrinkles on the jacket like that, or plant the folds on the shirt like that, the inside shirt. If I painted that tie-in, I never would have known that it didn't reflect any light. Even though there was light bouncing all over that room, I never would have known that the light hit that intensely right on top of the head, or that for some reason it wasn't hitting the eyes. But then I also realized that because it was coming from above, the light source. But you can even still see a tint of that on the gun even though it's so far away from the head. See, so I notice a lot of these minute things when I'm actually coloring from references. And it'll definitely do me wonders in the future. One can only guess. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this one in particular. It's nothing too crazy or too personal, and perhaps maybe it could be applicable for you guys too. So long as you're not plagiarizing or calling it your own, I think it's perfectly fine. After all, references are there for you to reference them. Kudos to you, Mr. John Wick, for being the inspiration for this particular piece. I hope to work with you some more. If you guys have any other particular tips or something that maybe I could give a try, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Or maybe even if you have art that you'd like to share too. Maybe I could learn something from it as well. So yes, bring your artwork to me so I may inspect it and make it my own. Just kidding. In any case, Revenov out.